Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Edward Amara, currently based in Kenema City, Eastern Province, Sierra Leone. Welcome to this all-important forum where we give you regular updates on important events on the continent of Africa, political, economic development, things that affect our continent, and we come here with the latest development to ensure that the forum remain active and we inform people about proceedings on the continent, things that affect our lives. And we expect people's contributions, maybe if everybody can be seeing, understanding, maybe reading across the globe, especially with news that affect our continent. One will be able to understand the kind of intricacies of problem that Africa undertakes on a daily basis. This is a continent where we have people with divergent belief. We will have people whose mentality sometimes lead to the corruption of the entire continent. Nevertheless, Africa is gifted with a very strong youthful population, with maybe a lot of virgin land, and with creditful people definitely on the continent. Unfortunately, it is just like the more you read the newspaper, the more misinformed you become. Many a time, those that we normally give power tend to deceive us. This is why the continent of late have become absolutely divided. It has become corrupted by some different type of mentality. Today, it is us, it is we, the youth, that are definitely suffering. Let me give you a rundown of the program the basic news that I am about to analyze. First, we'll deal with Madagascar. Madagascar's jails dangerously overcrowded. Madagascar jail is dangerously overcrowded. That is the southern part of Africa. And we also have proof of life delays, halt salaries in Mozambique. What do they mean about proof of life? As we get into the program, you will definitely know. The Liberian minister sacked for attending an opposition rally. George Oponwia sacked his minister of telecommunication because he attended an opposition rally. Why did he do that? Let's see. Then tear gas and burning of tires in Kenya, and also the court leader appeared today in court. His wife, another accused, and the main court leader we actually appear in court today in Kenya. Then Sudan agreed in principle to a weak trials, very weak peace. They have agreed. Then finally, we see why anti-gay law is being watered down in Uganda. Unfortunately, the deputy minister of gender affairs, was shot dead by his bodyguard. Nobody knows why he did it. So let's come. Let's first start in Madagascar and Indian Ocean. The southern part of Africa has actually been termed by UN as running an overcrowded prisons. Said the prisons are inhuman. The treatment being meted out over there definitely violates the laws of humanity. Those prisons where prisoners are currently being imprisoned are crowded 10 times more than the normal quantity of people that it was built to accommodate. Africa, in fact, this prison, when you talk about prisons in Africa, it's one of the few areas in Africa where government hardly spend money there. Because immediately you are sent into prison, you are condemned, awaiting your death, irrespective of the time that you actually went to, or you have been charged for and condemned, or why condemned to prison for. But immediately they think that you are going to prison, they condemn you for life. Other countries, I think like Israel, instead of them calling them prison, they call it correctional centers, because they believe if somebody is being sent to prison, it means that person will be there and he or she will have a kind of reorganization. Person will rethink, reorganize, re-socialize himself, maybe and engage in productive act. That is why you see in certain prisons within this country, you have carpenters, you have masons, you have seamstresses, you have tailors, Maybe you have maintenance people, electrician. When they leave from their prison, just after serving their terms, they will come out as people who are reliable, people who can live a sustainable life without involving into petty crimes. Unfortunately now, what normally happens, Madagascar is just an example. If you get down into Liberia, it could be the same story. You come into Sierra Leone, there's the same story. You go everywhere, almost everywhere in Africa is the same story. These colonial prisons that we are built by our colonial masters, our current leaders are not interested in making any improvement into prison. Because most people are actually not being in prison for criminal attitude. Maybe it could be like somebody political ideology. Maybe somebody can easily be a social rebel by going against certain established norms of the society. And if you have not been favored by the ruling party or any government in existence, you could easily be condemned to prison for long. But if that person goes into prison, we expect them to actually have sound life, that though their freedom will definitely be restricted. Unfortunately, our government do not believe in improving prison. They leave the area. In fact, prisoners live lackadaisically, so carelessly. You have all sorts of infection into prisons. That is that when you are going there, you can not only be mentally tortured, physically tortured, deprivation, whatsoever thing. So it's unfortunate that Madagascar, the United Nations, is now condemning the current prisons in Madagascar. They saying the situation is deplorable. Maybe the human rights issues have been violated. And there is nothing good that the government even has the intention that tomorrow we are going to solve this particular prison area. When you watch a situation like that, you see that, look at the description of the world. It's the UN has warned that prison in Madagascar are dangerously overcrowded. Following its first visit to the Indian Ocean island, the UN subcommittee on prevention of torture said some of the facilities were 10 times over their maximum capacity, that the original capacity that they were being built for. It said that Madagascar should reconsider its penal policies, including providing alternatives to prison, to reduce what it called the grave level of overcrowding. It described the condition as cruel. It described the condition, and the world at large, we watch at prisons, at area where one's life will end. When you watch, you see the kind of torture that Nelson Mandela underwent, with all the maybe torture, humiliation given to him. He still walked out. He came and ruled South Africa. Maybe should I say lead instead of ruling? He led South Africa. So we should understand that prison should be carefully taken care of, and we are expecting our government to actually have constructed conditions on how prison should be handled. Let's see, a proof of life delays halt salaries in Mozambique. A proof of life delays halt salary in Mozambique. So I could remember by then I was a pupil in Sierra Leone in something around 2010. We saw the APC government coming down heavily, especially against principals, headmasters, headmistresses, because of dubious activities. They involved in manipulations. What they normally do, they give various names of teachers to the Ministry of Health, to the Ministry of Education and Technology. They give them various type of name of teachers who are not even born, teachers who are not even existing, teachers who have, some of them might have even died 10 or 20 years ago. Those headmasters will still continue receiving money on their behalf. They create account for them, and they continue to receive money. They sign check on their behalf and do whatsoever thing. So at the end of the day, when you watch at the Ministry of Education, it will have barrage of teachers, huge quantity of teachers, yet in effect, these teachers are not practical. They may not even be in the school to dispense their services. In fact, sometimes they will even create what they call ghost schools and ghost teachers. They will only exist in theory but not in practical. So I think Mozambique have actually moved a step forward to ensure that the education minister sanitize the educational system in Mozambique by weeding out those ghost teachers and ghost schools. In fact, there was a school in Kailan, they call it Kailan Government Secondary School, when that school was never in existence. It is only out of the audit and whatsoever thing they said Kailan used to have a school. We used to have the school named as Kailan Government Secondary School, which employed over 30 teachers and over 1,200 pupils. So when you watch at it, it's exploitation. That is dangerous. That is just something I think when we go into our schools or when we go into colleges, universities, or any of these facilities, we expect actually for pupils, the curriculum that should be taught in school. We have three types of learners in school. We have those who are very good in the cognitive domain, those who are very good in the affective domain, that is the characterization. Then we also talk about the psychomotor skills and whatsoever thing. And we expect our teachers and our principals, our headmasters, headmistresses, to be people of substance who might be able to implant into these children a culture, a character that may uplift our nation tomorrow. But right from the beginning, the teachers started corrupting before the people. In fact, there are times they lie commonly in class. I am the teacher. I know what I'm speaking about. Somebody might call a teacher. Where are you? I say, okay, currently I'm over there. He or she might be in class. So the pupils may listen to that person and they start to immediately leave. They mock at you. They think of the other way. And there are teachers who do not even live up to expectation. Yes, they call themselves teachers. Like in Sierra Leone, what they do, you can have TC, that is a teacher certificate. You can have HTC, that is a HTCP, that is higher teacher certificate primary. You can have HTC secondary, that is higher teacher certificate secondary. You can have a degree. These are people who should actually who should be teaching into schools. But if you find it so difficult, maybe amazing, or sometimes you can even say sometimes even interesting, you will see somebody with a TC teaching in a senior secondary school. When that person in actual fact, she was being taught into college to actually teach kindergarten. And these are the system. And you have a system where the teachers well manipulate everything. They give ghost teachers and they receive salary on their behalf. They erode the educational system. So immediately somebody comes in to sanitize the system, they become the public target, especially those who are corrupt. Mind you, each time you want to change a system, there are certain people within the system that the corrupt system is actually benefiting. And when you want to fight corruption, corruption does fight back. So the delay in registration whatsoever, they know exactly what is going on. And this thing is not just a one-way thing, it's a well-manipulated, well-orchestrated act. And if you want to ostracize the teachers out of the system, or actually ghost teachers, it will take long time. So that is why normally I tell people, for you to destroy a nation, is to just destroy the educational system. You will see maybe doctors infecting patients instead of them getting them treated. When we talk about education system, it doesn't just depend. That is why they have three types of education. They have the formal education, non-formal, and informal education. When you destroy all of those systems, there will be no development into any country. As the prison system is being abandoned into our African nations, so is the educational system. Maybe the teachers are even being paid with infinitesimal amount, too little to be accounted for. I am here, I know what I'm speaking about. I know some of my colleagues who have interacted, who are actually on government paid salary. Maybe they can easily pay you around $45 per month. Some of them are even paid $70, $80 per month. Maybe if you are a degree student or a degree graduate, you can easily get around $100 per month. Or sometimes, no, not maybe 100, because $100 now is around over 2 million now. So maybe it is around let me just say around $60 to $70. So when they get into their classroom, they do not actually display. And so most of the time, even the teaching environment is definitely not ideal. I've actually visited places like Liberia also. Like recently, I also went in Guinea. I have seen situations like that. So those of us actually who have the urge to attend in Africa, it's rather boring. The system is boring. The teachers are boring. And the environment is definitely not helpful. So it's a collective problem. But at least those who are dispensing knowledge to these people, they ought to be very honest. They ought to be constructive. They ought to do whatsoever thing. This is why, and in doing so, it is even preventing the employment of other teachers. because the government will keep having piles of teachers on their list. And if they ask from certain teachers into certain schools, they will not be there. If they have this, we as a chemistry teacher, it's not here. You have an English teacher over there, they will say no. You have a mathematics teacher, they will say no. But when they cross-check the government pay scheme, they will see that they have a different all these different type of teachers allocated, if not assigned to particular schools. So this what incited the minister to ensure that he mounts a kind of practical investigation into the system. And over 5 months, some teachers have not been paid. Maybe they should actually be very careful and see how they can go about doing the system. They are saying it is definitely not a money problem, rather it's registration problem. And you must come with a proof of life certificate, meaning you must have a birth certificate. You must have something like document. When you talk about maybe your teacher's license, if like the award, they are the TC, like the Teacher Service Commission Award teacher's license. Maybe you must have an active ID card, you register within the system, they do it. So that is right, and you must reach certain stage that we know. So let come. That is for Mozambique. It's so sad, it's so pathetic, and it's so unfortunate. And we have to be very careful over how this particular system works. Because if we are not careful, things may end up to be the worst way. We should expect Africans at least to try to do something that will protect our system, not a system that will lead to a destruction. And if we have teachers who are corrupting the government at the end of the day, what will they teach their children? The worst of all, in schools where it is not government paid school, government assisted schools or private school, you meet a teacher today and give him your money, then go and give to the bursar. If that PP is not able to give to the board, that teacher will take that particular kid money and keep it until when exam times come. If you do not take them, that teacher will not come to conduct his or her exam, because the people will not be allowed to take the exam, and he or she will be saying that I gave Mr. A or B the money. So that is so sad. So let's come to Liberia. President George Mana Oponwiya sacked his minister for attending an opposition rally. Liberia President George Weah has sacked Copper Kura a few days ago after the telecommunication minister attended an opposition event. Mr. Kura is said to have gone to the opposition party, Unity Party rally last Friday, where it names a presidential running mate ahead of October's general election. The move angered senior members of the ruling coalition for change, that is the CDC party, who demanded the minister to be dropped from the government. President Weah has nominated Wole Sawa Duna, a veteran public servant, to replace him. His nomination is awaiting the Senate's approval. The elections are actually expected to be hotly contested, with the incumbent facing strong challenges from the unity collaboration political parties. So we see Weah and his minister automatically sacked. I think I agree with him perfectly. He is like a mole. In the presidential system of government, if you do not support the policies of the day of the government, you either resign or they sack you. And you cannot be with the government and be with another person. That was not a friendly attendance. And he, being as the telecommunication minister, a very key ministry, what did he go to do there? They said, in politics, you do not have permanent enemies, right? You have permanent friends. And your interests also, you do not have permanent friends, you do not have permanent enemies. You have permanent interests. And the interest is for them to hold on to power. And Mr. Minister went and attended an opposition party. I think Mr. President has the right to sack him. And the senior members of the CDC, the Coalition for Democratic Change, have that moral obligation to relieve the man from his position. Maybe George Weah acted wisely, but he wasn't proactive, because I think they could have understood the intention of the man. And each time you want to appoint a minister, maybe you have to vet him. And on the contrary, maybe Mr. Minister joined Oponwiya government to see that Opons deliver his services to the nation. But if he thinks and feels that upon is no longer living up to his social contract he signed with the people, he has all the moral obligation to resign. But come to think of it, which African leader, which African minister would willingly resign just because he or she senses that the president is no longer living with the agenda he or she was being elected to office? None. They are corrupt, they are unscrupulous, they believe in manipulations. I think maybe this man just want to have another sympathy with the opposition. He doesn't want to lose. He should, upon where loses the election, he will still have a connection with the party that he attended their political rally. But maybe he's not politically decent, and you ought to come out, maybe voice out, and do whatsoever thing. Or maybe he actually went there on one or two. But what if an opposition leader invites somebody specifically to his or her own rally? It means a lot. And thinking about the political fever, I think Mr. President has all the moral obligation, all the political rights, all his virtue, everything to veto his sacking. But he can't, looking at the close range of the election that is coming. Maybe he went there as a mole to spy on them to come and deliver those messages or what he saw to the ruling CDC. But if you went, attended their rally, after a long time, you said nothing to your colleagues, and they saw you within those people, I think they have the right to think otherwise. So I think Mr. President was somehow right to relieve the telecommunication minister, and next time he should actually run his politics fairly. Let's come into the Horn of Africa. Kenya, another opposition political rally, protest against the ruling party, the government of William Ruto. Opposition leader Raila Odinga has actually called on a huge demonstration against him. Tires were being burned, vehicles being burned, government properties attacked, and the entire situation in Nairobi, Kenya was absolutely distorted because the opposition leader is calling on Mr. President to improve in the living condition of the people by blaming the current system to be corrupt. I be demanding that the election that he lost last year, it was not free, neither fair, and he won the country's National Electoral Commission to turn down the election result, maybe go into another contest. He's calling upon his supporters in the Kivu region and wheresoever to ensure that they fully and always demonstrate on Tuesdays and every Thursdays against the government of William Ruto. The other time, a peace was being called between the two factions, and they agreed that maybe a meeting should be held. But Mr. President said, the opposition leader saying, should it be done into parliament where the government is dominant? Then at the same time, the government should not select who to attend the peace talk, and they should actually be willing to accept the terms of their condition while they are demonstrating. But if the government is not willing to accept anything like that, then they are going to demonstrate. Over 2 weeks now, they suspended their political rally. Unfortunately, it has resumed, and we have not heard about any loss of life, but property have actually been damaged. Then maybe the political protests have distorted the peaceful running of Nairobi. So we are yet to see. Then same in Kenya, the court leader who, according to police investigation, some members were so nasty. Some members were even be strangulated to death, forcing them to meet their maker. That let them starve to death so that they can meet Jesus Christ early. Naivety, clear stupidity, a solid one, absolutely solid. How can he stupefy somebody to his death? Absolute foolishness. Religion is not the solution to everything for speaking out loud. There are things that are very practical. Even when you want to pray to God, God must see you doing what he can help you in. Some people are so superstitious. They think about everything. And when they become so fanatic in their mentality with type of religious aspect, they become unpeaceful with everybody. They term everybody as satanic. If they dream bad, they attack their neighbors. How on earth will this pastor lead them to this type of stupidity to the extent that of losing their life? Over 100 people have been discovered dead. Some we are even strangulated. Some we are caught in secluded areas. They are hopeless, helpless, and homeless. Even when the police and humanitarian forces, especially the IRC, attempted to give them food and water, they rejected, saying they want to die. What? This is really crazy. Absolutely crazy. Maybe our churches need to be seriously vetted. Radical way of preaching need to be put under certain control. These churches need to be de-radicalized. We're having total, but I am a radical, but positively radical. But you're having people who are negatively radical. This stupidity is so spectacular. And I think it has led to the loss of, even there was a family member who said his entire family lost their life in that particular good news salvation church. They only joined the church 1 week ago. Who knows who persuaded them? Poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance. If those people were actually being fully catered for, or the government create a type of situation where they might survive, maybe nobody will come and stupefy you to death. Religious leaders are even exploiting people. They will say, give me this type of money, let me pray for you, and your conditions are going to change, or your condition will change. But speaking out loud, how can you become a petty beggar if you have the opportunity or the right to give people their own destiny? They can even see them pathetically living, yet they will go illiteracy. Maybe illiteracy because some people are even educated. I normally tell people there's a difference between being clever and being wise. Some people lack wisdom, and the lack of wisdom led to their death. Even the Bible said in Malachi that people are being destroyed because of lack of knowledge. Common sense. Let's be careful, and maybe we should know what to do. Then let's come to Sudan. In Sudan, the Rapid Support Forces, the paramilitary, or known as the Rapid Support Forces, or the former Janjaweed militia, now metamorphosed into the Rapid Support Forces. And the government forces have temporarily agreed to a 72 hours peace. And this peace, the South Sudanese government actually hope to lead the peaceful negotiation under President Salva Kiir by his opposition, I don't know if VP Riek Machar. Although they are also not peaceful, but a bit better than their northern neighbors. People are being killed, lack of water, lack of electricity. African brothers are stranded, especially like in Nigeria. You know, there are surplus everywhere. There are surplus everywhere, and they can exploit anybody to go with it back into their country. But when things goes there wrong, it affects them. That is the opportunity of having higher population, maybe the disadvantage when things goes wrong. So they have agreed actually to temporary peace, and we are hoping that the bombing should stop. But everybody is just saying it's a lie. Hamdok, the former prime minister, condemned them and saying Sudan is about to experience the worst stage in its history because political detainees and outlaw like Al-Bashir risks being relieved. One Ahmed Quran have already been released. So we are afraid we are seeing situations are definitely going bad. So let's finally end in Uganda. In Uganda, the deputy gender minister was shot dead by his bodyguard. It was widely announced that on Sunday the bodyguard entered into the minister's compound, started shouting and firing up into the air, only for him to shoot his overlord dead. No reason has been given for the killing of his overlord, and he also shot himself dead. And the aide to the deputy minister was also seriously wounded. As I speak, he is in one of Kampala's government hospitals, undertaking or undergoing treatment. And nobody knows what exactly happened that led to the killing of Mr. Minister. But the government has confirmed his death and also confirmed the death of his bodyguard. And the bodyguard was only transferred to him 1 month ago. Maybe investigation should be seriously mounted. Who's transferred the bodyguard? And why was the former bodyguard released of in duty, or maybe it's transferred from one area? What are the relationships? These are so sensitive questions. They should first understand the reason behind his transfer. And they should understand the person who's transferred him there. Let them see the motive and whatsoever thing. Then, luckily enough, as I said the other time, it was up to Yoweri Museveni, who is almost taking another 4 decades as a president in Uganda. It was up to him to either sign the criminal anti-gay law and risk his relationship with the West, or fail to sign it and risk his relationship with the supporters. The bill was signed. It criminalized everybody who was identified as a gay, who will easily be sent to prison for life. Anybody who is a gay that have sexual intercourse with a minor will describe it as an aggravation act, and you will be condemned. Somebody like anybody who actually knows person who is a gay and he failed to report it to the authority, you could be sent to life imprisonment. All those parents who know that their children are gays or lesbian and they fail to report them to the nearest police station or authority, they could be sent to life imprisonment. So the parents accuse the NPs of being religiously fanatic. They call them religiously fanatic people with draconian mentality. And they protested against the bill. The UN, international community, and all other bodies condemned the bill. So Yoweri Museveni watched at it and sent it back to the House. The House have vetted the bill and now have decided not to criminalize the bill, but declare gays and lesbians as outlawed within the society and punishable by law depending on the offense. And anybody who knows who is a gay, you do not expose that person, it's no longer a crime. But a landlord who provided a house for rent for someone who is a gay or a lesbian will definitely be charged to court and in prison for 7 years. So I don't know what is the difference. When you watch at the knowing, you do not report. Then you are a landlord. You house this particular person. If you do not, when you fail to house the person, it's okay. But immediately you know that this person is a gay or lesbian, you give them a house for rent. You are liable to 7 years imprisonment. And those who will be caught, they can be prosecuted based on the offenses they committed. Sad. But nobody supports gay mentality. I, for one, I am against this because it's against our moral. We demoralize our society. But so far, so good. That is how they have amended the Constitution. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you always for following Focus on Liberia, especially Roundtable Africa. It's been me, Edward Amara, Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, currently based in West Africa, Kenema City, Sierra Leone, living in the Eastern Province. Thank you. Thank you very much for listening. Good night. I think Focus on Liberia commented a sad state of education. Absolutely, especially in Africa. Thank you. Good night.